You ever lay awake convinced that any day now everyone is going to find out that you have no idea what you're doing? That tomorrow someone will finally expose you as the fraud you secretly believe that you are? If that voice just whispered, "Yup, that's me," this episode is for you. I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. Well, really, most of my life, I'm more of a thinker than a talker, but I believe some of the things that I've been thinking about could potentially help people. So, I decided to start a podcast. My hope is to be able to deliver content that inspires you to lead a life you love. Welcome to Thinking Out Loud. Hey everyone, welcome back to Thinking Out Loud. I'm Lexi Lohman, licensed therapist. Several years ago, I found myself having the exact same conversation with client after client after client. They'd sit across from me and say things like, "I feel like such an imposter. I'm just waiting for them to figure out I don't belong here and I don't know what I'm doing." Or, "I have no idea how I've gotten this far." And then I realized I was saying the same things to myself every single day. That's when I dove into Brené Brown's work, specifically The Power of Vulnerability. And I finally understood what shame actually is. And I highly recommend checking out Power of Vulnerability if you haven't. Brené Brown's work clicked so hard that it changed everything in my practice and in my life. I ended up writing my first self-help book about it and called it Gremlins and Goats Shedding Shame, which you can find on Amazon. Over the next 5 episodes, we're going to be taking little dips into the Gremlin and Goats book together. So first, let's talk about your gremlins. What are they? Shame gremlins are those little voices in your head that keep you small, telling you you're not enough, you're wrong, and you're undeserving. Every gremlin is a liar. There are things that feed and water your gremlins, just like the 90s movie Gremlins. If you haven't seen it, again, highly recommend checking that out after this episode. And they can make your gremlins worse and multiply them. And there are things that destroy your gremlins for good, like shedding light or the truth. And that is where the goat comes in. So first, let's meet Imposter Irving. He wears a tiny little detective hat, carries a magnifying glass, and his favorite line is, "Who do you think you are?" I know Irving intimately. When I finished my master's and then got my license and then stepped into my first real therapist role, he was screaming in my ear, "You're not a real therapist. School didn't teach you how to actually help people, and you're going to get found out." I had already spent several years at the psych hospital as a mental health tech, and then finally became a therapist, and Irving convinced me that I was still clueless. Then I opened my private practice clinic with a totally different population, and he started the whole song again. I'd even get glowing feedback. "You changed my life. You're the first person who really saw me." And then Irving would whisper, "They're just being nice. Wait till they figure out you're winging it." I felt like the biggest fraud on earth, especially because I was secretly depressed while trying to help other people not be depressed. Talk about imposter syndrome on steroids. Then I read Brené Brown's work saying shame is exactly like those gremlins from the movie. Feed and water them after midnight, and they multiply and turn evil. Expose them to bright light, truth, and laughter, and they melt. So, I created the goat. The goat is a mindfulness tool, and when the gremlin lies, you look it dead in the eye and bleat. Shaaa-ame. Yes, it feels incredibly ridiculous, I know, and that's the point, because shame cannot survive humor and truth. Try it with me right now. When Irving says, "You're a fraud," you bleed out, "Shame," and then drop one truth bomb. "I am a beginner, not a fraud." Or, "I belong here, and the proof is in the lives that I've already touched." Feel silly, laugh, and then feel the shift, because that is your goat getting stronger. So what story is your gremlin telling you about being an imposter? Maybe someone compliments your work and you immediately deflect. "Oh, it was nothing," or "I just got lucky." Or you rehearse a 30-second introduction 47 times before a networking event and still feel like a fraud when you say it out loud. Or you know the answer in a Zoom room, but you don't unmute because someone more qualified might disagree. Or maybe you finally hit a big revenue month and instead of celebrating, you panic. "This was a fluke. Next month they'll see I'm not that good." Bleed it out next time. Your gremlin rears its ugly voice and you say, "Shame," and then drop that truth bomb. Shed some light on it. Make it a goat-ish day. Thanks for the compliment. I worked hard on it. Introduce yourself with practiced confidence. Speak up when you know the answer. And celebrate your successes, no matter how big or how small. And then, before you know it, that gremlin's voice will be a whisper instead of a scream. If Imposter Irving is the loudest voice in your head right now, you are not alone. And it doesn't have to stay this way. You are already enough exactly as you are. That is the truth. If you want to know for sure which gremlin is loudest and get my free 7-day plan to starve him for good, take the quiz at lighthouseokc.com and tell Irving that I said, "Shame." In our next episode, we're going to meet Too Much Tina. We'll learn some of the ways that she infiltrates your thoughts, your actions, your emotions, and how to silence her for good so you can show up confidently in a life that's truly yours. So don't miss out. Thanks for hanging out today. Be sure to like and subscribe to Thinking Out Loud. Hopefully you had a takeaway that was potentially inspiring for you to lead a life you love. Until next time.